Hello second year. So what you're going to be doing over the next few weeks is looking at some perspective work. You did a little bit of 1 point perspective for your cityscape in the superhero challenge, and today you're going to look at 2 point perspective. So you're going to need a piece of paper, you're going to need a nice sharp pencil, and you're going to need a straight edge. So a ruler or a set square, something that's got a nice straight edge to it, and we are going to get started. First of all, you are going to place your ruler across the middle of your page, going lengthways, and you're going to draw a nice light line all the way across. This is your horizon, so this is where the sky and the land would come together. At the left hand side, you're going to do a small X and label it VP1 for vanishing point 1, and at the right hand side, another small X and label it VP2 for vanishing point 2. All of your leading edges will be vertical, and then the top and bottom will taper back to either or both vanishing points to give you the two sides of your block getting smaller as they disappear into the distance. For the first part of the task today, you're going to do one block that's above the horizon line, one that's on the horizon line, and one that's below it. And then there's going to be a couple of options with the extension work, either to make your blocks more complex or to add some tone, or both, to suit your level of understanding. So first of all, we're going to start off with a block that's below the horizon line. Something that's really important with 2 point perspective is keeping your verticals vertical. So make sure when you put your ruler down on your page that it is going at right angles to the bottom edge of your page. If you want to slide your ruler right up and use the bottom edge to make sure that this is perfectly in alignment. If your ruler does squint, you're going to end up with your edges all looking a bit skew-iff, and it's just not going to be as effective. So keeping that nice and straight, we're going to draw a nice light construction line. Remember, construction lines are nice and faint. You can go over the outlines afterwards. I'm doing them a little bit darker so that you can see them in the video, but try and keep them as faint as you can. We're then going to join the top and the bottom of this line to our first vanishing point. So holding the point of the pencil in one of the locations that you want it to go, you can then slide your ruler against that point and pivot it round so it joins up with both points perfectly at the same time, and join that with a construction line. Repeat the process at the other end of your line. And you end up with this triangle going back in distance. Again, you're going to repeat the process, so pencil on the point, slide the ruler on and pivot it round to your vanishing point. We'll draw that in and repeat at the bottom. Now, your block is not going to go as far back as this, but the actual size that it is entirely up to you. So you're going to make sure that your ruler is drawing a line that's parallel to our leading edge, this front one that's closest to us, and you're going to draw a line between the two lines that are going back to your vanishing point. So you've got your leading edge, top and bottom tapering back to the vanishing point, and then our back edge drawn in between those two lines. You can then take your ruler, put your pencil on your vanishing point at the other side and pivot it round so it lines up with the top edge there that's exposed, and take it back to the other side. Repeat again at the other side, again making sure that your ruler is parallel to that initial leading edge. Draw in the edge between your two vanishing points, take the top, and you're going to bring it back to VP1. That then gives you your left hand face, your right hand face, and your top surface. Now, I'm going to outline this at the moment just to help you see it on the camera, but I wouldn't like you to outline it just yet. Finish the 3 of them, and then you've got a choice in how you're going to continue after that, and you'd rather they were still construction lines to be able to do the next task. So when you are coming to do your outlines, you're going to start with your pencil at one end of your line, bring in the ruler, draw down just over halfway, go to the other end of your line and draw up just over halfway. And that means there's no danger that your lines are going to overshoot where you want them to go, and you end up with a nice, clean, crisp outline. So even though I'm using a ruler to help me draw these lines, I'm still rotating my piece of paper to keep it a nice comfortable angle for me to work at. Working my way around the block. Like so. Okay, so that gives you the impression of your leading edge and the block getting smaller as it's going off into the distance. So that's one that's below the horizon line. I'm going to add another one up here that is above the horizon line. So start off with your leading edge. Joining the bottom, make sure your construction lines stay nice and faint. Back to your vanishing point. Going to repeat that at the other side. Like so. Now the actual proportions and sizes of the block are entirely up to you. Remember, keeping your verticals perfectly vertical. So I'm going to do one there, and I'm going to do the other one over here. From our vanishing point, coming back up to meet that edge here, and then taking this back edge, crossing it over back towards that vanishing point there. Again, that gives me the block, which I'm going to outline, but as I said, you have a choice of extension work, and you don't want these outlined until you've decided which option you're going to take. This is just to help you visualise the blocks that you're creating. Remember that technique of going from one end of the line just over halfway and then in from the other side. Keeps your outlines nice and clean and crisp. And when you get onto more complex drawings, you know the lines are exactly where you want them to be. So you'll notice that when we have a block above the horizon line, we see the two sides of it and we see the base, whereas when the block is below the horizon line, we're seeing the two sides and the top surface. The next one we're going to have a go at is one that's crossing the horizon line. So it's going to start just above the horizon line and it's going to go below. It doesn't really matter the height and the position as long as it is both above and below your horizon line. And then you're going to take it again back to your two vanishing points. So back there, and here, and the top of it back at this side. Back from here. Don't worry if any of these construction lines are crossing over the blocks you've already drawn. It makes absolutely no difference. So then again, making sure your vertical lines are staying vertical is really, really important. I'm going to draw in a block. But you'll notice from this one that if I was to take this top edge here back, it's going inside the block, so I'm not going to see it. And likewise, this one here back to this side, again, it's going inside the block, so I'm not going to see it. And the bottom surface is also hidden because it's behind the front two faces that I can see. So if a block is crossing the horizon line, you won't see the top or the bottom surface. If it's above it, you'll see the bottom only, but not the top. And if it's below, you'll see the top, but not the bottom. So what you can do now is you can apply tone to these blocks. So lights and dark shades just with your pencil or possibly with a coloured pencil to make them look a little bit more 3D. Or you can adapt the blocks, you could add holes that cut into them, you could add curved surfaces that cut into them, and then you can apply tone there to make them slightly more complex as well and show us what you're capable of. Here's an example of some other blocks that you could do. Okay, so you can see I've cut a slope surface off this one. I've added a circular blind hole, so a hole that's cut into it but doesn't go all the way through. A curved surface coming around here. A square hole into this one here and into that one. A square hole that goes all the way through up here. And on the one that's crossing the horizon line, you can see I've made it an L-shaped block. On the ones that are underground, or on the ground, you can also see that I have added shadows to the ground. Just darkening my horizon line there so you can see. So you can see this one here and here. There's shadows where the light that's coming from over here has been shone across and it's cast shadows beyond the blocks. The ones that are floating up in the sky, you can't see the shadows in those. So how far you take these is up to you. I'm going to show you now how to add a circle in 2-point perspective, how to mark on a square hole and how to extend the middle one. But if you want to stop the video at this point and have a go at these three first, that's probably a good idea. So first up, I'm going to show you how to add a circular hole on 2-point perspective on here. Now, the method that we use to construct a circle, if you're looking straight onto the circle, is to start by sketching a square, to draw the diagonals, add a plus sign through the middle, and then the circle touches at 12, 3, 6 and 9 o'clock, as well as showing the 2/3 on each of the diagonals, so dividing each of the diagonals into 3 even parts, and then your circle would cut through at the 2/3 point. It's a very quick rough circle there, but it gives you the idea of the process. Now to create this in 2-point perspective, all we have to do is draw the initial square in 2-point perspective. So I'm going to draw a square and a circle on this surface here. To do that, I'm very lightly going to start by sketching out my square. So that's the left hand side of my square. I'm going to have a line that's going back in 2-point perspective to my vanishing point. I'm going to mark on the bottom again, going back to my vanishing point, and then I am going to judge where I think the square would be. So there, add in my vertical. Right, so this gives me my square that my circle is going to fit within. I can now join the diagonals together. From our vanishing point through the middle point of that X, we are going to draw our centre line, our horizontal centre line that's now going back to a vanishing point, and also a vertical one through there. And the exact same way as here, the circle is going to touch at 12, 3, 6, and 9. And if you divide these parts up into 3 equal sections, it then gives you the points that your arc has to curve into. Now obviously your circle isn't actually going to be circular, it's going to be distorted because it's going back in 2-point perspective, but that gives you your kind of squashed circle that's been distorted going back. You can echo that line with another one further back, and that gives the impression that the hole's going into our object, and when you add some tone to it, it's going to give you this effect here. Okay. For a square hole that's marked onto a surface, we're going to pop one up here. You start marking out the square that's, or rectangle that's on the actual surface of the object itself. So again, you've got your 2 vertical sides that are staying perfectly vertical. You've got your lines that would be horizontal going back to your vanishing point. Those can then get outlined. Like so. And then you can take this corner here back to your vanishing point, and that's going to show you where, like this edge here, that one there would be. For you to decide if you want it to go all the way through or be a blind hole, so have a surface at the bottom, is up to you. But if it's going to have a surface, you're going to decide how far back you want the hole to go. Vertical lines, remember, they're going to stay vertical, and anything that would be horizontal is then going back to our vanishing point. So from our vanishing point through that intersection there, we're going to draw this line, and once you're happy that your construction is correct, it's where you want it to be, you can go over your outlines. And that gives you the impression of a rectangular hole in this case that's going back into the object. And because the depth here is less than the depth here, it's a blind hole, so this is going to have tone on it as well when we shade it in. The one last thing I wanted to show you was extending this one that's crossing the horizon line to give it the L-shaped block. And in that case, what we're going to do from here, we're going to position our ruler so it's going back to our vanishing point, and we're just going to extend this forward a little bit. Add in our vertical centre line, our vertical line as a construction line. Again, from our vanishing point through the top edge here, extend it out, and where those lines intersect, that gives you your top edge of the block. And then we can take it back to the other side, to our vanishing point. Doesn't matter if your lines go all the way back to the vanishing point or they just go as far as you happen to need them, and then pop in the vertical at the other side. And again, once you're happy, you can outline your blocks. Like so. To add tone, so it's up to you if you want to cut blocks into them, shapes like curves, steps, holes, or if you just want to take your initial 3 blocks that you drew. But the next step you're going to do to extend it is to add some tone. When we're thinking about adding tone, we think of our tonal scale. So we're going to divide this up into 5 boxes. Okay. Now our lightest tone is going to be the 1. So that's using the side of your pencil, holding the pencil on its side, using the side of the lead, and it's hardly any tone at all. Okay, so there's a lot of light hitting the surface, it's that colour, that tone. Covering up number 1, we can apply a little bit more pressure, giving this tone 2. Slowly sliding our hand down the pencil, so we're applying more and more pressure with this finger, but still using the side of the lead, giving it a bit darker tone. Number 3. Repeat the process A bit more pressure, a bit more tone is number 4, and then number 5. And what I want you to do is pick where the light source is coming. On this example over here, I have my light source coming from over here near the vanishing point, shining in, so you can see the surfaces that are facing in this direction, or on the lower side here, or the upper side here, are my lightest surfaces, and the ones that are away from the light source are my darker ones here, 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 and there. Okay, so think about your blocks, think about where you want your light source to be, and how you're going to apply these range of tones to these blocks to get that effect. If you want to add a shadow, like I have on the ones on the ground here, to mark in the position of the shadow, you're going to come from your vanishing point through the outside of your block here and bring it out, like so. And then, again, using your pencil on its side, so you've got the side of the lead, you can apply the tone here and just fade it out to give the impression of a shadow being cast. Okay, that is, of course, if your light source is coming this way. If your light source was coming over from vanishing point 1, your lines for your shadow would be coming out in this direction, and your shadow would be in this face. Looking forward to see what you come up with. Good luck, guys.